It's been a fair few weeks since I last posted, and it's fair to say that there's been quite a lot happening in the news recently. The most important thing for me, and I'm sure for you as landscape photographers, however, is finally there is hope. The lockdown restrictions are slowly being lifted. I've planned my return route to the Lake District already, and that will happen in around 2 weeks' time. Wow, it seems like an eternity. It's been 6 months. 6 months, early October I was last in the Lake District. Very much looking forward to it, and if you follow this channel from the start, you'll know that the vast majority of my content is around the Lake District. However, it's a few weeks away, so what I thought I'd do is to return to my local woodland, a fairly new discovery. It's all about revisiting old compositions and looking for new compositions, and that's exactly what I'm going to do in this little morning session. I've already learned that hopefully this area will be full of either bluebells or garlic. We'll have to see. But I played around with a few compositions, purely handheld today. 2 lens, 35mm and 85mm prime. First thing I've noticed is it's much more greener. There's certainly much more vegetation being added since the last time I was here, and even that gives a different perspective of things. But with a lot of woodland photography, it's finding the right composition, which means the trees, the foliage all interlinks with each other, creating a nice network, a nice frame in itself, working alongside each other. And that's why it's so difficult, because you've really got to look hard as well. Woodland photography is definitely a genre where it's worth revisiting time and time again. For me, I find it difficult just to arrive at a new location for the first time and find something which works. You've got to return. I've come down to the stream. There's a nice S-bend, nice curving stream, so I'm trying to play around with that. What's attracted me as well is the moss on the trees. It's created some nice contrast. So I'm going to play around with those. Purely handheld today, no tripod other than the one that you're sat on and filmed by with my M50. The handheld approach for me results in more images, because with a tripod you find the composition, you fine tune it and then take the image. But with handheld I find that I'm taking more images. I'm using that time to try to fine tune the composition. The breeze is building up. The problem is these trees look quite old and vulnerable. It's exactly what I feel like at this moment in time. I've ventured further deeper. I ventured further into the woods, and I've found this amazing place where it's really hard to find a decent photograph composition. It's just an absolute mess. But I'm trying, but the thing is, it's just hard. I just make it harder for myself. I'm sure these trees are going to fall on top of me. I might have to move. It's just an absolute mess. Every now and then there's the old bronzen leaves, I think beech trees just hanging on through winter. Creates some nice contrast, but no, just can't find anything which works together. So I'll tell you one thing about woodland photography, it gets you fit from all the wandering around. I'm going to head back anyway before it's too late. So I managed to get myself out of immediate danger. The wind is certainly burning up though, and a bit of rain as well. It's getting me in training for when I return to the lakes and a bit of fell walking. Bit different though, in comparison to wandering around aimlessly in a woodland, really struggling to find a composition. But there you go. Now I'm not sure about you, but with me, I find that I keep to a mindset. And what I mean is, I've got an image in mind or a certain type of composition in mind. In this case, it's finding the odd one out, and I've mentioned that before, finding the odd tree that stands out amongst the rest, which is against what I was saying earlier, how it's important to find trees which interlock with each other, which work with each other. That's why it's so difficult. I found this though, and I'm going to play around with it. I think it's a cypress tree. I think it's a cypress tree, I'm not sure, but it's up against the silver birch, really up on the trees. But again, it's creating some nice contrast. I'm going to go up close with it, see what I can find. After that, I'm going to revisit another composition which I haven't shown before. Well, not on video. I did post it on, I believe, Instagram and Twitter. So I'm going to revisit that in a minute. Anyway, I'm going to play around with this. I discovered some nice mossy grass which has some nice vivid greens in it. Creates like a carpet, a nice screen. Found a few interesting shapes as well, so took a few shots. But I'm now at the location where I visited last time, and just love how the trees bend and angle to one side. Some lovely shapes going on. Of course, you've got the path as well. So I played around again with that. Ideally, now this is going to be a bit of a shock, but the ideal conditions would be fog. Yeah, fog. No surprise there. But yeah. Frustrating? Maybe, but I'm approaching it with the view that it's well in walking distance. Did you hear that branch? I still feel I'm going to get hit on the head. Anyway, it's still in walking distances, this, and I'm going to come back and back and back in between my visits to the Lake District, probably, most likely, in fact. And as I said before, I can see later on in spring, hopefully we're going to get some bluebells, maybe garlic, which will just put a different outlook on the place altogether. I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed this little session, trying things out. Right, okay, so I'll leave you here now. Take good care of yourself. The next time you probably see me will be in Lakeland, but we will see. Stay tuned anyway. Thanks for your support during these testing times. Keep smiling. Bye bye for now.